All right, everybody, welcome back to our second Cabral House Call of the weekend. Hopefully you got to tune in yesterday to 5 amazing questions from the community. Let's see what we went over. I just opened up the amazing Ask Cabral document from the team. Of course, if you want to ask your question, simply write in at stephencabral.com/askcabral. Ask us anything. We will read it live on the show, just like I'm doing right now, and I will give you my honest take as to how you can get to the bottom of your health-based issues for you or any of your loved ones. All right, yesterday we went over blood spot card testing and all of the validity that goes into it. We also went over guar gum and if it's healthy or not for the gut. We went over red light for the thyroid and thyroid autoimmune issues. If it's good, how often you should do it. We also went over how to transition off of Ozempic. Then we spoke about gut-based issues and H. pylori candida overgrowth, how to address those and in what order. And we also, on the last question, let's see what we said. This person said they're almost never sick in 25 plus years. Is that dangerous? Does that mean they're going to get the superbug in the future? And we answer that question as well. All right, let's see what's in store for today. First question is from Ryan. Ryan is asking, first off, I would like to say thanks for all you do in supporting a healthy community. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you. My question has to do with what and how much physical activity should you do while you're sick, along with what additional health modalities you would suggest. When you are sick or feeling like you're getting sick, do you continue hitting your 10,000 steps per day? Do you weightlift, cardio, high-intensity interval training? Continue working out, but at a reduced intensity? Should you substitute some activity for red light, sauna, yoga? And how often would this differ from a cold to a fever? Thank you. Okay, so typically it's always said that if it's above the neck, you can kind of do as you would do, but at a lower intensity. I pretty much follow that. If it's below the neck, if it's in the chest, I usually always forego any workout, and instead I do light sauna, not to exhaustion, and I'll do PMF and red light. That's what I do instead. I will still walk, but if my body's exhausted, I will listen to my body and I will rest instead. I'll still work my normal days, but I won't be doing any extra walking. You might say, well, isn't that bad? No. But remember, you can't be dogmatic about these things. If your body is tired and it needs rest, doing more walking or exercise cause more of a deficit, which can weaken the immune system, literally weaken the white blood cell production. My goal is if I'm ever truly sick with a real fever, I don't get a fever often, but just a real cold, definitely if you have a fever, you're just going to want to rest. That's the bottom line. Rest in fluids, easy to digest meals. Why no big meals, right? It's because it takes a lot of energy away. All you're trying to do is give the energy back to your body. So that's exactly what I do. When in doubt, rest. You're not going to lose anything, literally anything. Truly, you're not. And you're not going to make any true gains in terms of strength or muscle or whatever it is you're going for when you are sick. So when in doubt, certainly scale back. Just take a few days of rest. Totally fine. All right, Anne's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. And as always, thank you for being such a champion for us out here. Thank you, Anne. Appreciate that. A friend swears that milk thistle helped her when she was battling liver cancer. I have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and I'm working to reduce it. And besides the ways you outlined on episode 3017, I'm wondering if milk thistle could be a good addition. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. You as well, man. Okay, so yeah, milk thistle called silymarin is fantastic. Used in most Eastern forms of medicine, actually used all over the world, truthfully. It's essentially a weed. It's an herb, and it grows pretty readily. So milk thistle can be fantastic. Typical dosage is about 200 to 400 milligrams a day. And I have no problem, with you using that as well. But definitely look into my show. I know you did on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. 1 out of 3, 1 out of 5 people will get it. And why that matters is that berberine, omega-3s, like there are things that work even better than milk thistle, but I have no problem with people using milk thistle as well. And we definitely use that with our functional medicine detox too. So yes, Anne, it can be an excellent one. And yeah, I'm a fan. All right, Dawn Marie is up next. Dawn Marie says, hi, Dr. Ball. I had mono as a child and again in 2023 when I was 48 years old. In 2023 was on day 17 of the detox when the mono reemerged and I was quite sick, almost requiring hospitalization, liver enzymes quite high, thinking of gallbladder walls and large spleen. My doctor actually wrote me a referral to have my gallbladder removed. Thank goodness, after years of listening to your podcast, I knew to do some research and discovered that after I had recovered from mono, all would return to normal, and they did. My understanding is that Epstein-Barr lives in the liver and is difficult to fully heal from. I'd like to kick it out for good. Is there a way to fully heal from Epstein-Barr virus? Is there any risk of reemerging if I try to do another 21-day detox? It's a great question. This typically almost would never happen. And it's not necessarily from the detox. You literally might have been around another virus, right? And it then, when the body becomes weakened, the Epstein-Barr virus, aka mononucleosis, reemerges. It happens to me every once in a while. If I get a bad virus, if I've been traveling on one of those aluminum tubes that fly in the air with 50 other people, hacking up, all sorts of different mucus, which is, completely repulsive, I might get sick. Okay. It does happen. So when Epstein-Barr emerges, there's a great protocol. It's called stephencabral.com/the-protocol. You don't have to do all of it, but it's what I do. I certainly increase my monolaurin. I increase my L-lysine. What else do I do? I don't do too much more in addition to that. I increase my vitamin C, I increase my vitamin D, I increase my zinc, and give my body rest, just kind of like I talked about in our last question, which I think was with Ryan, right? Yeah, with Ryan. So that's that. Why might it reemerge? Well, I did this podcast a million years ago. Maybe not a million, but at least 6 years ago. And it's called Homotoxicology. And it talks about the progression of disease and also the regression of disease. As people are getting healthier and detoxing, sometimes these little things emerge. It's not always common, but it can happen. So a detox is removing these things from the tissues. You are losing weight. If you've heard my Wednesday podcast on liberating fat cells when you lose weight, what happens is there can be toxins in those, and the liver does need to remove them. So what you might want to do on your next 21-day detox is do your first 7 days as usual. The next 2 weeks, what you might want to do is just follow the 3 through 7 day meal plan, which would be easier on your body, or only do one of the fasting days. That's up to you. It may never happen again. You might have just got that out of your system and you're good to go. Or when you're doing the detox, you might want to bring your L-lysine up to 3 grams a day and your monolaurin up to like 1.5 grams per day. Again, I can't give any medical advice, medical treatments, medical cures, medical diagnosis, but it would be worth looking into. And by the way, I'm so glad you were able to keep your gallbladder. It is important if you can keep it. Thank you, Dawn, for writing in. Delaney's up next. Hi, Dr. Rawl. Thanks for all you do. You're a wealth of knowledge. Thank you, Delaney. Such kind words on today's show. I appreciate you. I'm working with a lot of tinnitus clients, and some claim it's from being in the military and being exposed to loud noises. Do you think this is simply a stress on the body and isn't necessarily a permanent issue from being exposed to loud noises? Okay, this is a great question as well. And truthfully, being exposed to loud noises can actually affect hearing. And it is possible that tinnitus is caused from, if you're in the military, firing weapons without proper noise protection. And oftentimes there isn't. So I think that's important because there can be actual mechanical damage to the inner ear hair cells. Think of the hair cells, and we've talked this in IHP, and I know you're an IHP. So think of the hair cells as little villi, right, in the ear, right? And so what happens is those can actually be destroyed. They can be damaged. So then neural signaling changes along the auditory nerve become changed. Now, here's the nice thing, is that there's usually not much of an issue here, and it just becomes exacerbated when the rain barrel overflows, which is what you're talking about. So if you fix the elevated stress and neurological based issues, right, the neuroendoimmune system, you begin to reduce cortisol, have them talk with a trauma-based therapist if there's trauma, lower the sympathetic tone, the fight or flight, improve overall neural inflammation with zinc, methylated B vitamins like the activated B complex, as well as the omega-3s. They're going to be doing really well. Work on breath work. All of those things are going to help tremendously. So hopefully that was helpful, Delaney. All right, I think we have one more question today. It's from Josephine. Josephine writes in saying, hi, Dr. Rawl, you've been an amazing help to me over the years. Thank you. I'm a 44-year-old woman living in Australia. I have idiopathic guttate hypomelanosis on my arms and legs. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't think I've ever pronounced the word guttate before. Guttate, maybe it's guttate. I get this much more so than brown pigment spots. I understand sun protection is the best way to prevent this. However, wondered if you have any tips on how to treat it. Most sources say pigment won't come back and also what supplements or topical treatments, excluding sunscreen, might make the sun or make the skin less susceptible. Thanks. Okay, I've actually talked about this in different ways before because the protocols are very similar to vitiligo and they're very similar to melasma. And so when we get these hyper or hypopigmentation, hyper, darkening of the skin, hypo, lightening of the skin, right? And so what we're typically talking about is still an autoimmune based issue. Part of it's high cortisol and part of it's poor detoxification, especially from melasma. Melasma can be high cortisol induced, without a doubt, no doubt about it. Okay, so let me share with you some of the tips that I've given in the past. First thing we want to do is make sure there are no gut-based issues. So in an ideal world, everybody would run the Big Five once a year. That's the truth, and especially you, Josephine. So StephenCabral.com/big and the number 5. If you can run that, amazing. If you can't, run the vitamin tox test, also called the starter kit. At StephenCabral.com/shop, you'll find all of the labs there. It comes with a full consultation with your lab results and a personalized program. Because if there are gut issues, we need to fix the gut issues. Then we want to balance omega-6 to omega-3 levels. We'll most likely do a functional medicine detox. We'll work on the cortisol levels if the cortisol is high. And of course, we'll improve detoxification. That usually means adding in a little bit of vitamin C, maybe specifically for someone, again, with a melasma base. I know that's not what we're talking about really here. You might add in a little additional glutathione, which we've seen to work really well. What else? Right off the top of my head, what can I recommend? I recommend outside of the body, microneedling. That's one of the things that we use with anybody with pigment-based issues to stimulate the stem cells, which has been shown then to help repair those particular areas. It works great for literally fine lines on the skin, hair loss, and pigmentation on the skin. So that's a great thing to do. What else off the top of my head? Red light off the top of my head can be great. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm starting. So hopefully that's helpful. There's lots more shows on this as well. And you can always ask at cabralsupportgroup.com and they can give you additional tips. So first testing, find the imbalances, personalized protocol for you, and then some of the baseline foundational things that really do work, like the microneedling. And I know the excluding the sunscreen, but for now it is important to use a healthy sunscreen, more of a non-nano zinc oxide, something like a Badger or one of those companies. It would be great to use until you rebalance the body. All right, everybody. Hopefully this was helpful. As always, share the show with anyone that you believe it could serve. And if you haven't already left a review for the Cabral concept on your favorite media player, I, of course, would love that. Thanks so much. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new Cabral concept on our Motivation and Mindset Monday.